Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be discussing the state of San Diego Comic-Con this year. I am insanely excited to dive into this video. A lot of very interesting news has came out in the last couple of weeks, and there's a lot to discuss. So, that being said, this video is going to be a little bit different than our other episodes of Marvel Monday, but let's dive into this. Marvel Monday! Okay, so I do want to go ahead and start off by saying I think that competition is a good thing, especially when it comes to arts, and especially when it comes to studios like this. I think that Marvel and DC going head-to-head will always make both studios better. I think that that is one of the biggest missed opportunities with the DCEU back when it first started off, is they were being very reactionary and they were trying to beat Marvel, and they were doing it in a way that instead of trying to like compare to Marvel, they just wanted to outright be better than Marvel, and they tried to speed run a cinematic universe as opposed to Marvel, who took the time to delicately create their cinematic universe. And now we're finally at a stage where for the first time in a really long time, it seems like Marvel and DC can be on the same level again, and it's insanely excited, especially because James Gunn seems to want to kind of keep everything coherent, and in a way that in the last couple of years with Disney Plus output and the actual theatrical releases with Marvel, it hasn't necessarily felt like a giant interconnected universe. Like, there's a lot of shows like She-Hulk does not feel like it's going to connect with anything that's happened in the theatrical releases. Moon Knight does not feel like it's going to connect with anything that has happened in the theatrical releases. And there's a couple of different projects like that where it's like very minor, if anything, is going to connect to the greater MCU, and that's kind of concerning. Whereas we have James Gunn over here is, working on Superman. He worked on Peacemaker. Some of the characters from Superman are going to be in Peacemaker. He's currently working on the Lantern show, and I guarantee you there's going to be at least one big cameo in that Lantern show who is in either Superman or Peacemaker, or maybe even both. And I think that for the most part, they're doing a good job of setting up that a lot of these heroes have something in common, and I think that there's no way that we're going to, potentially see a Lantern TV show and not see at least Sky Gardner, who is already confirmed to be in Superman and Peacemaker Season 2. And I think that that's really exciting. Like, DC definitely seems to be ramping up its output, and it also seems to be getting to a point where they have said in recent, I don't even remember what kind of event this was. This was just like a thing where I think they quickly got a group of people together to do some like big press conference. And they basically said a couple of things about like, we're only going to greenlight projects that have full completed scripts and this and that. And one of the things that they went on to talk about during that release was that their plan was to have 2 live action movies. This is DC right now. 2 live action movies, 2 animated shows, 2 live action shows a year. And then I think he said he also wanted to have a theatrical animated movie a year or something like that. So DC kind of has a foot forward where they have a general idea of this is their future plan. This is how they're planning on continuing to release stuff. Whereas Marvel has seemed very all over the place, very lost, with them pushing dates back. It definitely kind of is seeming like Marvel doesn't necessarily know what they're doing right now. So today we're just kind of going to go through and try to guess who we think is going to win San Diego Comic-Con. I think that, like I said, competition's a good thing. I think that both studios are going to excel because they have competition and they have a lot going against them. And I think that this is definitely an opportunity where it's like, there's a good chance that Fantastic Four hits $1 billion because Superman does so well a couple weeks before it, and vice versa. Like, there's a chance that like Superman ends up getting some extra legs because Fantastic Four is out, and people are like, oh my god, we can go watch them both in the same day. That'd be a really good time. So either way, I think that this is going to be good for both studios, and I think that overall, this is just a fun little discussion to have. I don't by any means want to say that, oh, if I say Marvel's losing Comic-Con this year, I don't want people to think that I'm saying Marvel sucks, because I don't. I love Marvel. I think Marvel's fantastic, and I think that the next couple of years for Marvel is looking very, very bright. But that being said, we are going to try to do like a little competition here. So, going based off of articles, some of which have been deleted, which makes this a lot more difficult because I wouldn't be able to like pull up the exact source and be like, well, according to this person. But one of them is Discussing Films, who usually, for one, they are verified on Twitter, and for two, they usually have sources within Hollywood that are very reliable. And a lot of times whenever Discussing Films releases things, it's usually an article from like the Hollywood Reporter or Variety or someone in that scope who has a lot of, journalists who have a lot of credibility to be held accountable. Like, they're not going to just like release every single article that they get, because like they have a sense of integrity that they need to keep. So that's something that I think I'm definitely going to want to kind of take into account here. So far, everything that we know about Marvel, what is Marvel going to have at San Diego Comic-Con? For one, at the end of the day, both of these studios, they're going to have probably a lot of comic book writers, and they're going to have a lot of people there to advertise actual comics. I think that that's a really big thing that a lot of people kind of tend to forget. Comic-Con is actually there for the comics. Like, there's a lot of people there who are working on different issues of, like, certain Spider-Man comics, and on the DC side of things, they have their Absolute Universe that they're kind of working on. So there's going to be a lot of actual comic-related events that are going on there, and I think that that's something people kind of forget, because I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, Marvel's backing out of Comic-Con, this is a huge deal. It's really not. In recent years, actually, they haven't really been as often and as frequently. Like, last year, obviously, is very recent in memory, but, like, the main thing that they did last year was celebrate Deadpool and Wolverine's release and their success, and they brought out a bunch of things to kind of, like, celebrate the next couple of years, and then they brought out Robert Downey Jr., which obviously was huge, but it's not every year that they do some gigantic announcement like this, and especially when they have D23 and they have other events where they can potentially release some more stuff and hype people up a little bit more for it. So that being said, I do think, obviously, first and foremost, there's going to be plenty of things for actual comic book readers, comic book fans. If you're somebody who has been like, oh, I might go to San Diego Comic-Con, still go. It's going to be a damn good time. You're going to have a great time. It's always a good experience to go to these kinds of cons and these kinds of events and go and, you know, enjoy the atmosphere with other people, go cosplay. It's a good time. 10 out of 10 would recommend it. That being said, what kind of stuff can we expect from Marvel first? I think that they have said that they plan on having an animation panel. So what does this mean? Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is set to get another season next year. X-Men 97 is expected to get another season next year. I low-key don't think we're actually going to get any information about either of those. I could see them doing a panel with like a Q&A type thing where they bring in some of the voice actors from either of those two shows and kind of just having like a very casual sit down and kind of meet and greet situation like that, because that's usually a good way to get people to go to San Diego Comic-Con. You can be like, hey, we have a panel with this person, and some people will be like, oh my god, I love that person, and they'll go and they'll show up. And I think that they also have a lot of actors who are absolutely game to do that, and I think that that will be a good time, and that's definitely something to look forward to. I also think this year we have some animated shows coming out that we don't know necessarily if it's going to be before or after Comic-Con, but Eyes of Wakanda potentially have a really big push if it's right after Comic-Con, because I think it is supposed to come out shortly after Comic-Con. We also have the Marvel Zombies shorts, which I can imagine them dropping a first official trailer for that during Comic-Con weekend. I think that would be a big time to do it, because it's going to be 4 episodes. It's going to be relatively short, but also we do kind of want to have a general sense of what the tone is for it. We want to know more about the team that's going to be there. We want to see the animation style. Obviously, we're expecting it to be What If animation style, but just in case it is a little different, I would like to see it. I also want to know the tone, because the one episode that they've done for Marvel Zombies so far, for that one episode of What If, they kind of made it way too lighthearted, and I feel like it would benefit from being, you know, TVMA, a lot darker, a lot nittier and grittier. I think it would be a really good time. But that being said, that's kind of everything I'm expecting with an animation panel. I think that the thing that I put my biggest bets on is them maybe doing some kind of poster or something for X-Men 97, and maybe giving us a release date for X-Men 97 and Spider-Man, what is it? Oh man, why am I blanking on the name right now? Freshman year? Not freshman year. They changed the name of it. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I got to it. We got there eventually. But yeah, I'm expecting that. Another thing that Marvel could potentially be bringing, I don't know for sure if this is a fact or not, because like I said, I cannot find the source that told me this originally. I want to say it was Discussing Films made a tweet about it, but supposedly Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio both said that they are going to be in attendance at San Diego Comic-Con, and that was kind of a shocking thing, because this was shortly after Kevin Feige was like, we're not going to have a big presence at Comic-Con, and then they were both like, yeah, we're definitely going to be there. And I think that there's a good chance that we're getting some kind of panel or some kind of thing going on with Daredevil Born Again Season 2, where they kind of, you know, potentially bring out Kristen Ritter and kind of do maybe even just a Q&A type thing. But I definitely could see that being potentially a big thing, where they kind of give us a general idea of like where we're heading with this next season. And I definitely think that the Marvel street level side of things and the TV show side of things, Benson Moorhead, the guy who's the head of Marvel Studios Television, I definitely could see him having a panel of his own where he potentially talks about the future of TV shows, because as of right now, with the exception of Daredevil Born Again Season 2 and the Vision Quest TV show that's supposed to come out next year, we have no idea what's going on with the future of Disney Plus content with Marvel. And even though that does seem like something they would say for a D23 or some kind of Disney-related event, it also would be really important for them to kind of get that out now so we have a general idea of like, is it important to keep up with the Disney Plus stuff? And especially right now where things are kind of starting to seem more like they're splitting and going either which way, because like either there's TV shows and you just follow the TV shows, or there's movies and you just follow the movies, and you don't necessarily need to do both. I think that they definitely need to do something to address that. And I hope that they get the chance to do that. So overall, could Marvel potentially have a really cool Daredevil Born Again panel, and that be a really good thing that they're kind of sitting on that they aren't necessarily wanting to announce right now? I could see it happening. I also think Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox are massive fans, and it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for Charlie Cox to just be going to Comic-Con, because he does that. And especially, like, there's the famous clips of him cosplaying as Bluey, and a bunch of people were, like, freaking out because Bluey was at a Comic-Con, and they were like, why is everybody freaking out about this Bluey? And it got revealed later on Twitter or whatever social media platform that it was Charlie Cox, and everybody was like, oh my god, what? Charlie Cox does that. Charlie Cox is a big fan of all forms of, like, Comic-Con related things. Like, he would definitely go to this con just to be there because he's a great guy. So I could definitely see that being the case. Overall, I'm excited for whatever Marvel does end up doing, even if it is tiny little breadcrumbs. I'll take what I can get at this point. But yeah, that's everything with the Marvel side of things. Now to get to DC, this side's going to be way more speculative, but let's dive into it. Okay, so this one is another interesting one. So The Hollywood Reporter released an article talking about the only thing that DC Studios is planning on bringing to Comic-Con is Peacemaker Season 2. Peacemaker Season 2 is supposed to be coming out, I believe, at the end of August or the beginning of September, one of the two of those. And it's supposed to be taking place shortly after Superman in the timeline. And it's supposed to be bridging kind of the first season, which kind of takes place in a different universe, and then bridging it into this universe and kind of making it all make sense and kind of flattening out the little bit of contingency errors they may potentially have with that. But that being said, for the most part, I think it is going to be a relatively good show. The first Peacemaker season constantly gets praised as one of the best superhero shows of all time, and I definitely could see why they feel strongly that they could potentially just do a really big Peacemaker panel, maybe release like the first 10 minutes of an episode or something, and just really send us in home. I think that something that would be really cool is if they show the new introduction, because from my understanding, they are doing a new introduction song and dance number type thing again, and James Gunn seems to be playing very coy about what he changed about it, if there's going to be a new song, what we're going to be experiencing with it. So I do think that that'd be a really cool, fun surprise to give the people who are attending Comic-Con live. I think that that'd be great. And then obviously, once again, because James Gunn is the director of this Peacemaker season, he's going to be there, and there is definitely an opportunity that he can kind of explain the future of Peacemaker and potentially what this show is going to lead into, because I think that that is one of the biggest things is Peacemaker right now is just like such an odd character to be focused on, and obviously it is fun for James Gunn to potentially play around with these little characters that not a lot of people know, but at the end of the day, is there a bigger plan for Peacemaker? Is it just going to be continuing to have Peacemaker one-off seasons? Is there a chance that he's potentially going to end up joining some kind of like Justice League team, or is he going to end up joining the Justice Gang, I believe is what they call it, the Maxwell Lord kind of like government sanctioned Justice League that we have with Hawkman, Mr. Terrific, and Guy Gardner's Green Lantern. Blanked on it for a little bit because I wanted to call him Nathan Fillion, and I was like, that's not the character's name. But yeah, I could definitely see a world where like the first 10 minutes is him auditioning for that lineup and not really going relatively well, and then by the end of this show, he actually does something crazy and saves, you know, a big portion of humanity, and then they're like, fuck, this guy's pretty good, and then them potentially recruiting him for that team. But I also am really intrigued because, like, I've got a feeling Mr. Terrific is going to be leaving that team and creating his own Terrifics lineup, and I could imagine that being one of the first big teams that James Gunn is wanting to establish in the DCU. So I'm just really, really intrigued to see what kind of teams we can expect in the DCU, what kind of like team ups and crossovers we could expect in the DCU. And that's why it is really weird to me that he's supposedly just going to be doing Peacemaker, because like Supergirl's done filming. I think that it would be a really good time to kind of bring out Millie Alcock, talk about that project a little bit, maybe give us our first look at Jason Momoa as Lobo. Like, I feel like that would be a really missed opportunity to not do that, but to each their own, I guess. Peacemaker is still really cool, and I don't want to sound ungrateful because I do love Peacemaker, and I like John Cena, but like, give us more. Where is Peacemaker leading? Does Peacemaker, at the end of the day, is it just going to be its own show? Is it never going to bridge into anything more than that? We're introducing that Frank Grillo has been in Creature Commandos, Superman, and out this. What is that leading to? Is there going to be some cool, big, giant doomsday type situation that was teased in Creature Commandos? I don't know. And I'm really hoping that they do some kind of lineup announcement, even if it is just like, this is the next, season of this show. This is the next season of this show. Like, let us know after, like, during this, if Peacemaker's getting a season 3. I don't know. I honestly don't know what they could reveal, but I don't know. That's some of the main things I want to talk about. Green Lanterns. I swear to God, if we don't get a reveal of the Green Lantern suits at least, I might actually scream. Show me Aaron Pierre in his suit. Please, I want to see him in his suit. I want to see... Oh, why am I blanking on his name right now? Chandler. Kyle Chandler? Is that it? The guy who's playing the... Hal Jordan. That took me way longer than it should have. I paused the recording for maybe about 10 minutes, and I just kept repeating John Stewart, Guy Gardner, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, and then I got to Jessica Cruz, because, Jessica Cruz is awesome, and then I was thinking about the Red Lantern card from Injustice, because that card is sick. I absolutely love that card. If you ever played Injustice Gods Among Us, the, phone version, swipey, tappy, really good one, really like it. I love that version of Hal Jordan, but for whatever reason, I could not for the life of me remember his name. But yeah, I think that seeing them in their suits would be really cool. Like, you honestly don't even really need to do that much with the Green Lanterns. I just want to, reveal of, please tell me they're using their goddamn powers in that show, because I do like the idea of, a more grounded version of these potential characters, but at the same time, these are extraterrestrial characters. Yes, them being on Earth is okay, whatever, but also show us their suits. That'd be sick. I also think that they revealed that there's going to be a Sinestro. I would love to see him. I think that would be really fun. And then on top of that, I also think it would be really, really cool to kind of have some snippet or some kind of hint or clue as to who the villain of that show might potentially be. Because for people who do not remember, in the original pitch for the show, they're going to be doing something. They're going to be solving a mystery of a specific murder case that happens on Earth, and then while they're unraveling a bigger mystery that ends up revealing kind of the big overarching threat of the DCU, that was kind of what they teased. So I'm intrigued to see what that big threat could be. And I also would love to know, if we could expect to see Superman or any other cool characters appearing in that, because as of right now, I think Guy Gardner might be in it. I think that that's something that a lot of people have mentioned, but I still think it's just speculation, because he's a Green Lantern. He should be in the Green Lantern show, but we'll see. I digress. That being said, that was pretty much everything that I wanted to touch on here. I think that there's also a decent chance that they maybe give us a release date for Creature Commandos Season 2. I think that would be cool. Maybe give us an update on Waller, if that's still a thing that's happening. Maybe Dynamic Duo. Let us know if there's any updates on that. I think that that's probably still way down the pipeline, because when they announced that, they were like, that's going to come out in 2029. And it's like, why did you announce that already? I don't know. I also would love to see anything Elseworld. So Spider-Man on the Marvel side, we don't know anything about what's going on with Spider-Man yet. And I think that if it starts filming around that time, they could do something as simple as just showing a little cast picture. That'd be cool. Sony's unpredictable, so who knows what Sony's potentially going to do with that. They'll probably announce a Big Wheel movie. That'd be sick. Please make it happen. Make it the next kind of Fast and Furious type franchise. I would watch it. I would watch 7 Big Wheel movies if they made it Fast and Furious. Oh yeah. Anyways, not the point. Definitely not the point. I also would love it if, because the trailer already leaked, just show us Spider-Man Noir. Give us a Spider-Man Noir trailer. I would love it. I know a lot of other people would love it. It'd be pretty damn cool. I don't know if Amazon is doing anything for Comic-Con, but they absolutely should, especially with, I think there's going to be a new season of Invincible somewhere down the pipeline relatively soon. We're getting a new season of Gen V, which I'm insanely excited about. I did not react to that trailer, but I guarantee you I saw that trailer. Ooh, it looks good. Oh, it looks good. But yeah, that being said, that's pretty much it here. I don't think that any necessarily I could tell you which studio is going to win, but my original pitch for what I was going to do with this video is, would I prefer a Daredevil Born Again Comic-Con panel, or would I prefer a Peacemaker panel? And I'm going to be totally honest with you, I'd rather see the Daredevil Born Again panel. Whoopsies, I think that Marvel might potentially win this. But that being said, if we had a first look at Lobo and Supergirl, I think that that would be huge, and that would be a giant win. And then on top of that, I know that we're expected to see Millie Alcock in the Superman movie this year, but I don't know if she's going to show up with her suit. So if not, revealing her suit would be pretty cool, and it would be very similar to how they released David Cornsweet's suit a year prior to his movie. Getting to see that Supergirl suit a year prior to her movie would also be pretty sick. But yeah, that being said, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching, and if you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow. Bow. Bow.